My name is Charlie Kirk. I run the largest pro-American student organization in the country, Turning Point USA, fighting for the future of our republic. Speaking to you in my personal capacity tonight as a 26-year-old, I see the angst of young people as well as the challenges facing new parents. I am here tonight to tell you, to warn you, that this election is a decision between preserving America as we know it and eliminating everything that we love. For decades, ruling class leaders in both parties sold out our future to China, to faceless corporations, and to self-serving lobbyists. They did it to preserve their own power and enrich themselves, all while rigging the system to hold down the good, decent middle-class patriots striving to build a family and pursue a decent life. All of this changed dramatically in 2015 when a billionaire named Donald Trump put his own life of luxury on the line. From that moment he came down that famous escalator, he started a movement to reclaim our government from the rotten cartel of insiders that have been destroying our country. We may not have realized it at the time, but Trump is the bodyguard of Western civilization. Trump was elected to protect our families from the vengeful mob that seeks to destroy our way of life, our neighborhoods, schools, churches, and values. President Trump was elected to defend the American way of life. The American way of life means you follow the law, you work hard, you honor God, you raise your kids with strong values, and you work to create a civil society. The American way of life means you speak your mind without retribution, without being kicked off social media by a self-righteous censor in Silicon Valley. It means you can freely practice your religion, and that church is more essential than a casino. And it means that we judge people on their actions, not on their immutable characteristics. The American way of life is being dismantled by a group of bitter, deceitful, vengeful activists who have never built anything in their lives. They have us locking up pastors while releasing violent criminals from prison. We are kicking doctors off of social media, yet promoting Chinese state-funded propaganda on major tech platforms. This election is the most critical since 1860, when a man named Lincoln was elected to preserve the Union from disintegration. This election is not just the most important of our lifetime, it is the most important since the preservation of the Republic in 1865. By re-electing Trump, we will ensure that our kids are raised to love our country and respect its founding fathers, not taught to hate or be ashamed of them. We will build monuments to heroes, not burn down our cities. We will be a country that rises to higher heights, that dreams big, thinks big, and achieves the impossible. A country that values our remarkable journey, the complexities of our past, but clearly communicates to the next generation that we have to be grateful, not angry, that we live in the United States. We will be a country that makes it easier to have many children, live quiet and peaceable lives, and worship your God without a tyrant getting in the way. We will be a country that has its best 100 years ahead. We will build a future where America remains the greatest country ever to exist in the history of the world. All of that is within our grasp if we secure 4 more years for the defender of Western civilization, our champion, my friend, the 45th President of the United States, President Donald J. Trump.
I'm Rebecca Friedrichs, a veteran California public school educator. I'm here to give voice to America's great teachers because our voices have been silenced for decades by unions who claim to represent us. They do not. When other dedicated teachers and I served within the unions, we spoke up in defense of children, parents, scientific fact, and American values. For our trouble, we were brutalized, booed off the platform, barred from committees, shouted down, and even spit upon by union leaders. This is how unions treat devoted teachers. But what's even worse is how their agenda of control deceives Americans and our children. They've intentionally rewritten American history to perpetuate division, pervert the memories of our American founders, and disparage our Judeo-Christian virtues. Their lenient discipline policies morphed our schools into war zones, and they back defunding police and abolishing ICE. Unions collect billions annually from unsuspecting teachers and push this radical agenda into our classrooms against our will. Why? The only way to keep a free republic is with a well-educated, moral citizenry that can self-govern. Unions are subverting our republic, so they undermine educational excellence, morality, law, and order. That's why they spend hundreds of millions annually to defeat charter schools and school choice, trapping so many precious low-income children in dangerous, corrupt, and low-performing schools. To fight back on behalf of children and America, brave teachers brought a lawsuit against unions. And do you know who intervened against us? The Obama-Biden administration and California Attorney General Kamala Harris. They argued against us at the U.S. Supreme Court. Their comrades labeled us spawns of Satan and slandered us in mainstream media. No matter their abuse, we'll keep fighting for the country and children we love, just like President Trump. He's breaking the union's grip on our schools. That's why unions have tried to destroy him since the day he was elected. But President Trump isn't afraid to fight for what's right. He won't back down. His courage gives great teachers renewed hope. He's even proposed education freedom scholarships to return control to parents, protect religious liberties, and empower kids to escape dangerous, low-performing schools. The Republican platform supports educational freedom. The Democrat Party does not. Democrats stand with deceptive teachers' unions who pick on loving teachers and little kids. President Trump stands with America's families, great teachers, and most importantly, our children. So America's great teachers, let's stand with President Trump in protection of the kids and country we love.
The kids that you're trying to send back to school, you totally kill.
I am so grateful to see
Welcome
you today.
to the Troll Patrol
I'm Tanya Weinreis. I'm
live.
from Montana, where I live with my husband.
Is this the same woman that just spoke?
A
What?
Marine and retired police officer. My husband and I own Mountain Mud Espresso. We are not some multinational corporation. Our success is not measured by stockholders, but by our neighbors, the people we see at church, and at jiu-jitsu school with our son. Mountain Mud Espresso is the American story.
She's really going for that Joe
Story not
Rogan
just for
vote, isn't she?
entrepreneurs, but for millions of hardworking men and women who are building their American dream every day. A few months ago, like so many businesses, we got the crushing news a large event we were serving was canceled because of the virus. Our business was on the brink, threatened to be shut down from losses that were not our fault. I was scared.
Remember, we're
I
here
thought
for
of
the
our
shit
50
show.
employees, the Mountain
Smoke 'em
Mud
if you got
family.
'em.
And when I thought of their jobs, I thought of their rent being due, their kids, and I felt personally responsible. I'm not too proud to admit that I fell on my knees and prayed, Lord, what do I do? His words rang clear. Keep on working, it will be okay.
You actually said something back?
I had faith. And let me tell you, you have to have faith when your husband is a Marine and a police officer who was shot at on the job. And when you run a business, a little faith goes a long way. Faith in Jesus and faith in America.
Cop death is a hoax.
But I'm worried we have a generation of
I saw someone do the math
who
today,
gets told
and
that
it's like
the American dream doesn't exist.
the percentage that right wingers
That's a
claim COVID is
I
killing.
know, because I live that dream. It's why I feel so strongly that we need a president who believes in the American dream like President Donald Trump, now more than ever. I am so thankful that my prayers for help were answered. My company was one of the first to receive a PPP loan, and praise God, it has been a lifesaver. Not only were we able to keep every single employee, but we've been hiring weekly ever since. I feel for local businesses across America who are under assault from shutdowns, from riots, and now facing the terrifying prospect of Joe Biden coming after everything we've built. I am so grateful we have leaders like President Trump standing up for local businesses like mine. Thank you, President Trump. It is exciting to be part of the great American comeback story.
So is this the convention center in Charlotte? I would assume.
I'm
No, they're in
Congressman
DC.
Matt Gaetz. I'm speaking to you from an auditorium emptier than Joe Biden's daily schedule. But we are a nation of full hearts and clear minds. We see the choice clearly.
Look at his little beady
or
eyes.
weakness, energy or confusion, success or failure. President Trump is the first president since Reagan not to start a new war. Biden has foolishly cheerled decades of war without winning, without end. President Trump knows we are strongest when we fight hardest, not in distant deserts, but for our fellow Americans. We must fight to save America now, or we may lose her forever. Joe Biden might not even notice. Settle for Biden. That's the hashtag promoted by AOC and the socialists. The Woketopians will settle
that-
for
what?
Biden
Is
because
that true?
they will make him an extra in a movie written, produced, and directed
Settle for
by others.
Biden?
It's a horror film, really. They'll disarm you, empty the prisons, lock you in your home, and invite MS-13 to live next door. And the police aren't coming when you call. In Democrat-run cities, they're already being defunded, disbanded. Blaming our best and
I wish.
allowing society's worst? That's the story they write in Hollywood. That's if the lights even stay on in California anymore. A state that cannot keep power running for its own
It's
people
kind of
should
low
not
to take
send
that
its
shot
junior
when
senator to
half
be
of the
vice
state is
president.
on fire, you
They used to
asshole.
write only in fiction, but nightmares are becoming real. Cops killed, children shot. At the Democrat convention, they say, if you vote against Trump, it will all stop. Appeasement is never a winning strategy. No, we won't settle for violence in our neighborhoods or at our border. We won't settle for decades of bad decisions by basement-dwelling Joe Biden. We settle a continent. We know that the frontier, the horizon, even the stars belong to us. Donald Trump, like all builders, is a visionary. That which is built in the mind is even more powerful than the brick and mortar that holds it together. First comes the mind, then the making. First comes the vision, then the work. Washington, Lincoln, and Jefferson are immortal precisely because of the pull they have on our imagination. You cannot cancel a culture that loves its heroes. The dangerous left need America to be weaker to accomplish their goal of replacing her. We know that to make America great again, we must
fuck is he
first make
talking
something
about?
of ourselves. That is the meaning of true strength. My great-grandfather was a railroad man. As a Florida man, I watch our rockets routinely send the brightest beyond the heavens with our flag and our hope. America is the greatest country that has ever existed. Don't let any celebrity, athlete, or
I don't
politician
know
tell you
by
otherwise.
what metric, motherfucker.
President Trump sometimes
Especially
raises his
now.
voice and a ruckus. He knows that's what it takes to raise an army of patriots who love America and will protect her. We must win this election if we cherish our country as much as we should. For there is no place to run, no refuge for freedom should we fail. America is not just an idea or a constitution, it is our home. We must protect our home with unbreakable made in America strength. Strength I see every day in President Donald Trump. Thank you.
Strength
My
he
name is
sees
Kim
is the
Klacik,
biggest
and I'm running
baby
for Congress
ever.
in Maryland's 7th District. And like Shirley Chisholm, I'm unbought and unbossed. Let me remind you, the Democrats have controlled this part of Baltimore City for over 50 years. And they have run this beautiful place right into the ground.
That's what she says in her commercial over and over again, but she never gives
on the street. That's now the
any
norm
sort
in
of
many
policy that she would do
You'd
to fix
think
it.
Maryland taxpayers would be getting a whole lot since our taxes are out of control. Instead, we're paying for decades of incompetence and corruption. Sadly, the same cycle of decay exists in many of America's Democrat-run cities. And yet the Democrats still assume that black people will vote for them, no matter how much they let us down and take us for granted.
Well, I mean, if you listen to the way the Republicans talk...
We're not going to take it anymore. The days of blindly supporting the Democrats are coming to an end. In Baltimore, we have the highest number of black Republicans in the entire country running for office this election cycle. Joe Biden believes we can't think for ourselves, that the color of someone's skin dictates their political views. We're not buying the lies anymore. You and your party have neglected us for far too long. We want safety in our neighborhoods. We want to make the most of the federal opportunity zone I'm standing in right now in West Baltimore. We want higher paying jobs and more business opportunities. We want lower taxes. We want school choice. We want a chance to get ahead, not just get by. That's what President Trump promised, and that's what President Trump delivered.
That is absolutely false. He's delivered exactly the opposite.
Around the country.
Record unemployment.
We can compete in our inner cities.
Record
deficit.
deficit.
Reach out to the citizens and deliver real results. President Trump is bringing this country back roaring. He's bringing the American spirit to life for all Americans. So I'm asking you to help
9/11's worth of
Trump
people dying every couple of
complete this
days.
great American comeback. And then I'm asking you to help me start this great Baltimore comeback. Thank you, and God bless America.
I gotta get comfortable for this shit.
Good evening. I'm Ronna McDaniel, chairwoman of the Republican National Committee, and on behalf of everyone in our party
I've never
and
even
President
heard of
Trump,
her until like yesterday.
thank you for tuning in as we kick off this historic convention. As we speak to you tonight, we send our thoughts and prayers to those facing terrible fires in California, recovering from storms in Iowa, and preparing for hurricanes in Louisiana and the Gulf Coast. Democrats started their convention last week with Eva Longoria, a famous Hollywood actress who played a housewife on TV. Well, I'm actually a real housewife and a mom from Michigan with two wonderful kids in
promoting a
public
president
school
who was a reality
happens to be
TV show
the
host
only
and a
the
fraud
second
of a
woman
fucking
in 164 years to
real
run
estate
the Republican Party.
developer.
And unlike Joe Biden, President Trump didn't choose me because I'm a woman. He chose me because I was the best person for the job.
I'd never
4
even heard
years
of her
ago,
until yesterday.
President Trump started a movement unlike any other. And over the next 4 days, we will hear from a few of the millions of hardworking, everyday Americans who have benefited from his leadership.
What's her
If
name?
you watched the
Ronna
DNC
McDaniel.
last week, you probably noticed that Democrats spent
Get
a
down.
lot of time talking about how much they despise our president. But we heard very little
Honestly,
about
I don't
their
think they mentioned
actual
him that
policies. Policies that would have been unthinkable a decade ago. Policies like banning fossil fuels, eliminating private health insurance, taxpayer-funded health care for people who come here illegally, and defunding the police. Their argument for Joe Biden boiled down to the fact that they think he's a nice guy. Well, let me tell you, raising taxes on
didn't rape a
82%
13-year-old
of
that I know
Americans
of.
is not nice. Eliminating 10 million good-paying oil and gas jobs is not nice. Policies that force jobs to flee our country or allow abortion up until the point of birth are not nice. The truth is, there's only
so
one
forcing
person
women
who
to
has
die in
empathized with
childbirth
everyday Americans
is, you
and actually been
cunt.
fighting for them over the past 4 years, and that is President Donald Trump. In the nearly 4 years I've worked on behalf of President Trump, I've seen up close a man who has a deep love for family, a man who has reverence for the office of the presidency, a man with an incredible respect for law enforcement and our military. I've seen private moments where he comforts Americans in times of pain and sadness. Now, everyone
I find
knows
that hard to
he can
believe.
be tough. He's tough when he takes on China, tough when he works to fix our unfair trade deals, tough when he fights to secure our borders. President Trump is always going to be tough when he is fighting for the American people, because nice guys like Joe cared more about
Hopefully
countries
we're
like
getting the
China
boring
and
people out of the
Iran
way, because
than the
we're coming up on the
United
top of the
States
hour
America.
and the actual coverage
Tonight
starts.
begins a
At
new
9
chapter
o'clock
in
is
the
when
great
the
American
networks pick up
story.
the coverage.
A story that
So
has
we're not even in
inspired
the
world
network
for generations.
coverage yet.
And when we re-elect President Trump this November, the best is yet to come. This election is the most important in our lifetime.
This fall
Your
is
vote
going
counts
to
more
be
than ever.
horrendous.
If you want to check your voting status, secure your ballot, or register to vote, text VOTE to 88022. Earlier today, President Trump and Vice President Pence came to North Carolina to thank our delegates for unanimously renominating them to a second term. Our official roll call and the business of our Republican convention was conducted today in Charlotte. We have created a short video to symbolize the excitement for President Trump across all 50 states and territories. Thank you for watching. God bless you, and God bless the United States
Is this,
of America.
we're getting the video here?
The great state of Alabama.
Alaska.
American Savoy.
Arizona,
Arkansas. California.
Colorado.
Connecticut, Delaware, District of Columbia,
Florida. Georgia.
Guam.
Hawaii,
Whoa.
Illinois. Indiana.
Iowa,
Kansas.
Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine,
Maryland. Massachusetts.
Oh, are these delegates?
Minnesota,
Mississippi. Missouri.
Montana.
Nebraska.
Nevada, New Hampshire,
New Jersey.
New Mexico, New York,
North Carolina. North Dakota.
The Northern Mariana Islands.
Ohio,
Oklahoma.
Oregon. Pennsylvania.
Puerto Rico.
Rhode Island,
South Carolina.
South Dakota, Tennessee,
United States Virgin Islands.
Utah. Vermont. Virginia. West Virginia.
Wisconsin.
Wyoming. We're excited to nominate
Donald J. Trump, and Vice President Mike Pence.
For 4 more years.
Thank you for all you've done to make America great again.
It is our privilege,
To nominate you for 4 more years.
and we know the best is yet to come.
They're going to be awfully disappointed. It's going to be more fun than the Hillary people in 2016. Don't think I didn't get some Schadenfreude out of that.
We will make America great again. And ladies and gentlemen of this country, the best is yet to come. I didn't back down from my promises, and I've kept every single one.
This current administration have made hope possible.
We want this nation to continue to be the beacon of hope for the world.
How many people say
We
they
are
gonna
the
leave
absolute
America
laughing
if Donald
stock
Trump
of the
was
world
elected?
at the
They're all
moment,
still
and it is
here.
a
They're
sad
not
state of
going
affairs that we
because
live
we
in.
are in the land of the free.
We will never, ever
Let me tell you, there was a shooting in my home state yesterday, and I was talking to a friend about it, and I'm like, oh, at least it's not a mass shooting, because that was kind of what I was thinking the first time I heard it. Hopefully, that might have been echoing on you guys, so hopefully I fixed that.
What we need is the belief in a better tomorrow and creating a better future for our children.
When I look in the eyes of my grandchildren, I want them to know that their papa was not silent.
You think about the same thing Trump thinks about.
from failing
Don't
schools
touch 'em.
by helping their parents send them to a safe school of their choice.
Promise kept.
We will completely rebuild our depleted military. The countries that we are protecting at a massive cost to us will be asked to pay their fair share. We will take care of our great veterans like they have never been taken care of before.
This guy saved me.
Yeah.
He saved me. Thanks to him, I'm here.
You're here thanks to him?
He's giving people
To Trump?
hope. What he's doing for the poor people, what he's doing
still
for
living for Trump.
everybody.
We are going to appoint justices of the United States Supreme Court who will uphold our laws and our Constitution.
Why supporting law enforcement is so important.
Well,
for
that was a
keeping America
lie.
great.
As long as I'm president, I will never defund your police, that I promise you. It's time to deliver.
And that's a good reason not to vote for your motherfucking
American
ass.
people, we are going to start winning again.
Win.
It's
Win.
called promises made, promises kept.
My name is Amy Ford. I've been a registered
What's
nurse
up,
for
Amy
17
Ford?
years. I'm from the small town of Williamson, West Virginia, where I've lived my entire
Oh,
life.
shit.
The daughter of a nurse and a coal miner.
She's just right down the road from
Even
where
though I
I'm
was
from.
the youngest of 4 children, I was always somewhat of a caretaker. It came natural for me. So it felt right to follow in my mother's footsteps and become a nurse. And this March, when COVID-19 sent our country into crisis, I knew I had to help any way that I could. I deployed to New York in April and then to San Antonio, Texas, working as a COVID relief nurse in both states. As I contended with the challenges
So
of
this is
treating
the
our
way they're
patients
kicking off
who had their worlds turned upside
the network
down,
coverage.
I noticed a positive change in our healthcare system. President Trump recognized the threat this virus presented for all Americans early on and made rapid policy changes. And as a result, telehealth services
that's
are
not
now
true.
accessible to more than 71 million Americans, including 35 million children. Prior to COVID, telehealth was not covered or reimbursed under Medicare, Medicaid, or CHIP. This left our most vulnerable populations with no other choice but to have an in-person office visit with their physicians, increasing their risk of exposure to COVID-19 exponentially. The expansion of telehealth services has also resulted in the integration of video visits between patients and their families, allowing loved ones to have contact and visualization, as well as a better understanding of care. Telehealth has been essential during this pandemic. I don't want the media taking my personal story and twisting it, so let me be clear. As a healthcare professional, I can tell you without hesitation, Donald Trump's quick action and leadership saved thousands of lives during COVID-19. And the benefits of that response extend far beyond coronavirus. Telehealth will continue to aid many that are just unable to find transportation or a way to the doctor for regular checkups. This is especially true in rural America. I live in a town of about 2,000 people. We do not have buses, trains, trolleys, or Ubers available to us. In addition, the unavailability of services can also hinder treatment for many. So increased access to telehealth for millions of Americans has truly been life-saving, and we have President Trump to thank.
From the very beginning, Democrats, the media, and the World Health Organization got coronavirus wrong. The World Health Organization said authorities have found no clear evidence of human-to-human transmission.
Overall, most people should not be terribly concerned about it.
Everything's fine.
Whoa, when was
Would
this?
you want to say to people, come to Chinatown, here we
Oh,
are, come
that's
join us.
We don't even think it's going to be as bad as it was in other countries.
My
Go
bad.
about your lives, go about your business.
one leader took decisive action to save lives. President
I'm on
Donald
Bing.
Trump
I don't know how
banning
Bing
travel
works.
from China and coronavirus epicenters. Biden charged xenophobia, but President Trump was right, signing the CARES Act, providing immediate relief to American families, workers, and businesses, declaring a national emergency, tapping into $42 billion in existing emergency funding, quickly getting crucial personal protective equipment to the states, signing the Families First Coronavirus Response Act, ensuring that American families and businesses impacted by the virus receive the strong support they need, launching
Okay, that's
Operation
24. Okay,
Warp
that was
Speed
today.
to fast-track a vaccine in record time.
He said everything that I could have hoped for. Promise made, promise kept.
He is ready, willing, and able to help.
He
Now,
has been responsive.
today's
He's
numbers.
done a lot of good things.
What the federal government did was a phenomenal accomplishment.
In our hour of need, you all literally are helping us in a big way. We were at the edge, and this is life or
You're seeing
death
the
stuff,
numbers
and
here.
we're forever thankful for that.
176,797 deaths as of 8:30 a.m. And that number is likely very undercounted. Who the fuck's this guy?
Dr. G.E. Ghali, an oral and maxillofacial surgeon and chancellor of a large academic medical and research center in Louisiana. I feel uniquely positioned to share how President Trump's decisive leadership led to a rapid and efficient response to the coronavirus pandemic.
Am I just going to have that
this as a
graph
health
up the entire
professional
time?
And as someone who has recovered from COVID himself. The COVID-19 pandemic exploded into our great nation with an intensity unparalleled in history.
Dr. Ghali,
But our medical
I think
investigation
should
and drug
rename himself
development
Dr.
systems
Gullible.
were not designed for
If
a
you
pandemic.
actually believe that
The
bullshit.
devastating effects of the coronavirus demanded immediate changes at the regulatory level. A prompt response led by President Trump.
It did,
cleared
and
away
Trump,
the red
like,
tape
denied
that
it for a
usually
month,
makes drug
motherfucker.
approvals a long and drawn-out process. By
It became a
harnessing the
long and
resources
drawn-out
of the federal
process.
government and the private sector, President
Because
Trump's
it had to go to the
Operation
states
Warp
to actually
Speed
take action.
is accelerating the testing, supply, development, and distribution of therapeutics, diagnostics, and very shortly, effective vaccines to counter COVID-19. Let me give you 3 clear examples of how President Trump's leadership removed regulatory barriers so COVID patients could have faster access to effective therapies and diagnostics.
What do you mean where he's from?
First, on February 26, 2 phase 3 clinical trials studying remdesivir were initiated. Just 2 months later, the FDA approved remdesivir for emergency use to treat COVID-19. Normally, this is a 3 to 5 year process. The amazing speed with which this happened in a safe but efficient manner is unheard of. Second, the FDA granted expanded access to COVID-19 convalescent plasma. Within 24 hours of this approval, we were administering convalescent plasma and remdesivir to a critically ill patient, a former Army Ranger and physician.
Oh, I have to let the cat in.
Had it not been for the rapid deployment of these medicines, this patient, who is my colleague and friend, would have surely died. And third, at the end of July, I developed a fever and cough. I reached out to our testing team and received one of the Abbott rapid tests. Yet another tool quickly approved by this administration. Within 15 minutes, my test came back positive, and within 4 hours, I was receiving my remdesivir doses, followed by an infusion of convalescent plasma. As a physician, I've seen firsthand how these breakthroughs have saved countless lives. As a patient, I've benefited from the expedited therapies made possible by the swift action of this administration. President Trump truly moved mountains to save lives, and he deserves credit. Thank you, President Trump, for providing timely access to critical diagnostics and therapeutics during this pandemic. Thank you, Mr. President, for your strong leadership in these challenging times.
When the China virus invaded our country, we launched the greatest mobilization of American society since World War II. Patriots of every race, color, and creed rallied together to defeat the invisible enemy and save the lives of their fellow citizens. Today, our hearts overflow with appreciation for the incredible frontline workers who risk their own health and safety to keep America strong and safe. When crisis came, millions of everyday Americans
So I do
rose
believe
to the challenge.
we are getting
In their
a
actions,
Trump
we
speech
see true
tonight.
greatness
Apparently
of the
he is
American
speaking
character.
every night of the convention.
We always find a way to victory. History will remember and celebrate
I am
the heroes
especially
of
looking forward
2020
to the
for as long
gun-toting
as our
couple
great
from St.
American
Louis.
flag waves over the land that we love. To every frontline
Jim
worker,
Jordan, who has been
I offer the
accused
salute of a
of
nation that is forever in your debt.
helping cover up
Thank
sexual
you,
abuse
God
at an
bless you,
Ohio
and God bless
university
America.
is speaking tonight.
These are my friends. These are the incredible workers
These are my
that helped us so
friends.
much with the COVID. We can call it many different things, from China virus. I don't want to go through all the names because some people may get insulted, but that's the way it is. These are great, great people. Doctors, nurses, firemen, policemen. We want to thank you all. You have been incredible, and we want to thank you and all of the millions of people that you represent. Thank you all very much. Great job. Thank you. Thank you all very much. So tell me a little about your stories. How about we'll start with you?
I'm a postal worker, delivered to the senior community during COVID-19.
Good. And we're taking good care of our postal workers.
Absolutely.
That I can tell you. Believe me, we're not getting rid of our postal workers, you know? They'd like to sort of put that out there. If anyone does, it's the Democrats, not the Republicans. I want to thank you very much, and thank everybody in that whole beautiful post office system. We appreciate it. How about you?
I'm a trucker.
Good.
Own a small business in Ohio.
Great.
Hauling steel mostly. You know, some of our customers actually made hospital beds with some
Oh,
of
wow.
the material.
That's fantastic. Well, congratulations. I love the truckers. You know, they're on my side.
Thank you.
I think all of them, frankly. I think pretty much all of them. How about you?
I'm a custodian at the post
Good.
office as well.
What do you do exactly?
Clean up everybody's mess and everybody's germs and all that.
Can I tell you, that world, that profession will never be out of business. You know
Yeah,
that,
for
right?
sure.
Thank you very much for being here. Thank you. And how about you?
I'm a registered nurse, President Trump. I work at a New Jersey hospital. It's called Virtual Willingboro Hospital.
Right.
I also represent an organization of professional nurses. It's called the National Association of Catholic Nurses.
Very good.
But I want to tell you, sir, as a nursing supervisor, I am so in awe of your leadership. Honestly, I know many people have said often interesting things, but it takes a true leader
Something
to
stupid
be able
happens
to
and I
ignore all
choke on
that
my
stuff and do
pretzels.
what is right and not be offended by all the words being said.
I'm suing the
And
Trump
you really
campaign.
do show that positive spirit to us, and as nurses, I appreciate that, but just as an individual, I'm grateful for that.
Well, I'm for the nurses, I'm for the doctors, I'm for everybody. We just have to make this China virus go away, and it's happening. Please, go ahead.
I'm also a nurse. I represent Genesis Healthcare, which is a skilled nursing facility
sure.
company. I want to thank you and your administration for all the supplies and support and
Right.
funding that you've given the skilled nursing units. Without that, we couldn't do as well as we have done. I spent some time in New Jersey. I live in West Virginia, went to New Jersey and did some work there, and we finally started to see things change and turn around.
I appreciate what you said, because we have delivered billions of dollars of equipment that governors were supposed to give, and in many cases, they didn't get. So the federal government had to help them, and all of the people that did this incredible work, they never got credit for it. But you understand where it came from. Thank you very much. Thank you both. It's really nice. Please, go ahead.
I'm a police officer in Englewood, Colorado, and I contracted COVID in late March and recovered.
That means
This
we
needs
don't
some
have to be
reality
afraid of
show
you at
music.
all, right?
I'm good to go.
Once you're recovered, you know, we have the whole thing with plasma happening. That means your blood is very valuable. You know that,
Gary
right?
Busey's gonna
Thank you
pop
very
out at
much.
any
Great.
moment.
Please.
I'm a detention deputy at the Kern County Sheriff's Department out in California.
Great.
And I also contracted COVID end of March and recovered from that also.
How long was your problem?
I was sick about 10 days, really bad. I got everything besides a cough, but recovered. I was off work for a month and a half, and I work in our local county jails.
Did they do anything specifically to help you recover?
They gave me Z-Paks medication, cough syrup.
Okay, and I won't even ask you about the hydroxychloroquine because It's a shame what they've done to that one, but I took it. I took the Z-Pack also, and zinc. I want to thank you all very much. It's an honor to have you in the White House. You're fantastic people, and the people you represent an incredible group of people, and we love you all. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Good evening. I'm Congressman Jim Jordan, representing the 4th District of Ohio. The Republican Party is the pro-America party. President Trump is the pro-America candidate. This election is about who can preserve the values, principles, and institutions that make America great. Don't believe me? Look at what's happening in American cities. Cities all run by Democrats. Crime, violence, and mob rule. Democrats refuse to denounce the mob, and their response to the chaos? Defund the police, defund Border Patrol, and defund our military. And while they're doing all this, they're also trying to take away your guns. Look at the positions they've taken in the past few months. Democrats won't let you go to church, but they'll let you protest. Democrats won't let you go to work, but they'll let you riot. And Democrats won't let you go to school, but they'll let you go loot. President Trump has fought against each of their crazy ideas. He's taken on the swamp, all of the swamp, the Democrats, the press, and the never-Trumpers. And when you take on the swamp fights back. They tried the Russia hoax, the Mueller investigation, and the fake impeachment. But in spite of this unbelievable opposition, this president has done what he said he would do. Taxes cut, regulations reduced, economy growing, lowest unemployment in 50 years, out of the Iran deal, embassy in Jerusalem, hostages home from North Korea, a new USMCA agreement, and of course he's building the wall
Did he have
and
the
rebuilding
audacity
our
to
economy
say that?
as we speak. I love the president's intensity and his willingness to fight every day in Washington for our families. But what I also appreciate about the president is something most Americans never get to see, how much he truly cares about people. Our family has seen it. 2 years ago, our nephew Eli was killed in a car accident. He lived a mile up the road from us, grew up wrestling and training with our boys, was a high school state champion, varsity athlete for the University of Wisconsin. It was a Saturday morning, 3 days after the accident. I walked to the car to head up to Eli's parents' home when the president called. We talked about a few issues, and then he asked how the family was doing. I said, "They're doing okay, Mr. President, but it's tough." The president said, "Yeah, losing a loved one is always difficult, and it's really tough when they're so young." I then said, "Mr. President, I'm actually walking into their house right now.
Doubting he said anything like
Obviously,
that.
they don't know that I'm talking to you, but if you'd be willing to say hello to Eli's
nothing
dad,
like Trump.
you'd make a terrible day a little less terrible." "What's his name?" the president asked. I walked through the door and said, "Todd, the president wants to talk to you." For the next 5 minutes, family and friends sat in complete silence as the president of the United States took time to talk to a dad who was hurting. That's the president I've gotten to know the last 4 years. The president who shared private moments like this with soldiers, victims of violent crime, and people who've had businesses destroyed by the mob. That's the individual who's made America great again, and who knows America's best days are still in front of us. And that's why I'm busting my tail to help him get reelected. I'm asking you to do the same. Thank you, and God bless our country.
I'm not an actor, a singer, or a politician. I'm Herschel Walker. Most of you know me as a football player, but I'm also a father, a man of
I didn't
faith,
actually know you at all.
and a very good judge of character. I've known Donald Trump for 37 years, and I don't mean just casual ranting to him from time to time. I'm talking about a deep personal friendship. I watched him as an owner of a professional football team. Right after he bought the team, he set out to learn. He learned about the history of the team, the players, the coaches, every detail. Then he used what he learned to make the team better. I watched him in the boardroom. He can be in the middle of a big meeting, but if one of the kids was on the phone, he dropped everything to take the call. He taught me that the family should be your top priority. I watched him treat janitors, security guards, and waiters the same way he would treat a VIP. He made them feel special because he knew they were. He understands that they are the people who make this country run. They clean, they cook, they build, they drive, they deliver. He told me, "Herschel, make an effort to get to know people. Remember their names." That stuck with me. One time, I planned to take his kids to Disney World with my family. At the last minute, Donald said he'd like to join us. So there he was, in a business suit, on It's a Small World ride. That was something to see. It just shows you what a caring, loving father he is. It hurt my soul to hear the terrible names that people call him.
Daughter.
The worst one is racist. I take it as a personal insult that people would think I've had a 37-year friendship with a racist.
You have.
People who think that don't know what they're talking about. Growing up in the Deep South, I've seen racism up close. I know what it is, and it isn't Donald Trump. Just because someone loves and respects the flag, our national anthem, and our country, doesn't mean they don't care about social justice.
But all the
I care
racists
about
in
all
the
those
South
things.
love
So
Trump.
does Donald Trump. He shows how much he cares about social justice in the black community through his actions. And his action speaks louder than stickers or slogans on a jersey. He keeps right on fighting to improve the lives of black Americans and all Americans. He worked night and day. He never stops. He leaves nothing on the field. Some people don't like his style, the way he knocks down obstacles that get in the way of his goals. People on the opposing team didn't like when I ran over them either. But that's how you get the job done. I pray every night that God gives him more time. Give him 4 more years. He has accomplished so much almost all by himself on a constant attack. But there's still more work to be done.
Into the ground.
If you love America and want to make it better, Donald Trump is your president. He's my president, and I'm blessed to call him friend.
Good evening, I'm Natalie Harp, a formerly forgotten American from California. In the classic Jimmy Stewart film, It's a Wonderful Life,
What's up with that?
George Bailey is given a great gift, the chance to see what the world would be like without him. Tonight, Mr. President, we'd like to give you that same gift, because without you, we'd all be living in Pottersville, sold out to a crooked Mr., or I should say, a crooked Mrs. Potter, with no hope of escape except death itself.
She
I
thought
should
that
know,
was funny, didn't she?
because I wouldn't be alive today if it wasn't for you. About 5 years ago, I was the victim of a notoriously deadly medical error. I survived, but only to be diagnosed with a rare and terminal bone cancer. You know, the Democrats love to talk about healthcare being a human right. But a right to what? Well, I'll tell you. To them, it's a right to marijuana, opioids, and the right to die with dignity, a politically correct way of saying assisted suicide.
Yeah.
I was told I was a burden to my family and to my country, and that by choosing to die early, I'd actually be saving the lives of others by preserving resources for them, rather than wasting them on a lost cause like myself. And when I failed the chemotherapies that were on the market,
I cannot imagine
no
that
one wanted me in
anybody
their
told her
clinical
that.
trials. I'd make them look bad. They didn't give me the right to try experimental treatments, Mr. President. You did. And without you, I'd have died waiting for them to be approved. Now with the coronavirus, everyone knows what that feels like to be waiting for a cure. But we've only been waiting a few months. Just imagine what 2020 would have looked like, fighting for your life, without Donald Trump fighting for it too. In January, there would have been no China travel ban. Millions would have died. Millions more would have been infected, for there'd be no record levels of testing, no right to try treatments, no fast track for a vaccine, nor Operation Warp Speed ready to deliver it. And without Donald Trump as our patient advocate for the past 4 years, well, the opioid epidemic would have stolen even more lives from even more families. Kidney patients would have no future except dying on wait lists, for there'd be no initiative to increase donations.
Just making
There'd
sure
still be no
everybody knows what the
accountability at
numbers
VA.
are. And that we
And
are
our brave
number one
veterans
in
would
the
still be
world
suffering long wait times with no
for
choice
cases
nor
and
access to faster care. Insulin and other drug prices would have continued to rise, while a record number of generic drugs would still be stuck in the pipeline. There'd be no price
Also, look
transparency.
at this.
We wouldn't
I just
have health
noticed
plans
this.
up to 60% cheaper than Obamacare,
So,
and we'd still be
are
stuck
recovered
with that infamous individual mandate. And
1,997,000.
God forbid what the next 4 years would look like.
Brazil's
For in
had
Joe
way
Biden's
more
America,
recovered
China would
while
control
having
our
way
drug
less
production.
cases.
We'd be
So
one
they've had a
step
better
closer
success
to
rate.
government-run
Brazil has
healthcare.
been
We
better
wouldn't
at
just be
fighting
able to
it.
keep our doctors.
But then again,
We'd
we've
be lucky
probably
if we
had a
could see
whole
any
lot of
doctor.
undiagnosed
And
cases,
even then,
and that
some
number
of
looks
us would be
different.
denied care.
Because
For in
Trump has
socialized medicine,
fucked this up.
You don't beat the odds, you become the odds. And
What does
I
that
would
even
lose my
mean?
right to try. Just like Charlie Gard, that
blind
terminally
all
ill
in,
British
works
baby
60% of the
whose
time,
government-run
100% of the
healthcare
time,
system
or some
decided
shit. I can't
it
remember
was
what he
too
always says.
expensive and too cruel to keep him alive. You see, Mr. President, you've done so much more than your promises made and promises kept. For numbers only tell part of the story. We are the rest of it. Facts with faces of Americans who would still be forgotten if you and our favorite First Lady hadn't given up your own wonderful life so we could have the chance at one. George Bailey's father was right. All you can take with you is that which you've given away. And Mr. President, that makes you the richest man in the world. For you have used your strength to make America strong again. Sacrificed the life you built to make America proud again. And you risked everything to make America safe again. It's a wonderful life. You made America great again. And on November 3rd, we are going to keep America great.
I feel like Jimmy Stewart, if he was alive, would like fucking smack the shit out of him. Well, I don't want one of my characters. I don't do a very good job. I'm gonna try.
Hello, America. My name is Vernon Jones, and I'm a state representative from the great state of Georgia. As you can see, I'm a man of color, and I'm a lifelong Democrat, too.
This is smart because Georgia is in play, so you want to make a play,
speaking at the Republican National Convention. And that's a fair question, and here's your answer. The Democratic Party does not want black people to leave their mental plantation. We've been forced to be there for decades and generations. But I have news for Joe Biden.
Love to say phrases that they think sound good, but don't actually mean anything.
And I'm part of a large and growing segment of the black community who are independent thinkers, and we believe that Donald Trump is the president that America needs to lead us forward. This is no time for sleeping in the basement. Joe Biden has had 47 years
he's talking
to
about Joe
produce
Biden.
results.
Okay.
But he's been all talk and no action, just like so many of the Democrats who've been making promises to the black voters for decades. We've been their captive audience. When President Trump sought to earn the black vote, the Democratic Party leaders went crazy. Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer literally started wearing kente cloths around the U.S. Capitol, as if pandering were enough to keep us satisfied. Let me tell you why I'm supporting our president. I grew up in the South, in Laurel Hill, North Carolina, Scotland County, the Green Pond community to be exact. My parents, Robin and Rufus Jones, built with their own hands a 4-room cinder block home with no indoor plumbing. They had very limited education, but they instilled in us a strong work ethic that drove me from those tobacco fields of North Carolina to those hallowed halls of the Georgia General Assembly. My parents taught me if I believed in God, worked hard, and treated every person fairly, there was no limit to what we could achieve.
Went to Trump.
I attended North Carolina Central University.
I'm amazed it was that high.
An historical black college. For generations, HBCUs have been the incubators that develop black scholars in math and science and religion, engineering, and politics. They have been important springboards for the black success. But Democrats haven't treated them that way. When President Trump took office, he changed everything. He delivered historic funding to HBCUs, and he guaranteed it for 10 years, something that's never happened in the history of this country. That gave our HBCUs stability, the chance to grow, and produce the next generation of black leaders. That's right, Donald Trump did that. He's also supported school choice to ensure that no child, no matter their race or zip code, is left behind. Every child should have access to a quality education. But education is just the beginning. The president also built the most inclusive economy ever, with record low unemployment for African Americans and record high participation in the workforce. He put opportunity zones in the Trump tax bill that would drive investment into our communities for decades to come.
I don't understand. What did you just say?
He put the
Opportunity
interests of
Jones?
American workers, and especially black workers, first. That's right, Donald Trump did that. He delivered historic criminal justice reform.
Seeing record unemployment.
He ended once and for all the policy of incarceration of black people, which has decimated our communities, caused by no other than Joe Biden. Democrats
that's a very true critique.
Obama didn't want to do it, and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris definitely wouldn't do it. But Donald Trump did it. He's also working every day to make our communities safer. As a former executive of DeKalb County, Georgia, I directed one of the largest public safety departments in the Southeast. I've seen tragic shootings on both sides. Officers killing citizens and citizens killing officers in the line of duty.
I've never seen
Police
anything
officers are
as
fellow
brutal
citizens.
and heartless.
They live in our country.
As the shooting of,
they
I
have
can't even
families
remember
too.
his name. There's
they
so
live
many
in our
shootings
communities.
now.
Unfortunately,
The poor
Democrats
dude
have
that
turned their backs
they grabbed his
on our
shirt
brave
and
police
shot him
officers.
7 times
They
in the
call
back.
it defunding. And it's a danger to our cities,
Still to
our
come,
neighborhoods,
Nikki
and
Haley,
our children.
Donald Trump Jr.
Isn't it ironic
Senator
that
Tim
Democrat
Scott.
politicians have personal security to protect them? So why don't they forego their security and replace them with social workers, especially since that's what they want for you and me? Our police need more funding, not less, for frequent psychological examinations, for non-lethal remote restraint technology,
What people
and for more
are
de-escalation
arguing
and
is
use of
that
force training. These are the
redirect
common
funding
sense
to other
solutions that
social
President Trump
services that would
supports.
prevent the police
True,
from having to be
sincere
called in the
police
first place.
reform. That's right. Donald Trump did that too. Education, jobs, safety, security, on issue after issue. And in
It's a
just a
weird
single term,
dissonance that
he
they're
destroyed
promoting,
these
like-
negative forces that have victimized the
They're
black
talking about
community
riots in the
for
streets and
decades.
places burning down, and
He
then this
gave us the
motherfucker gets up here
opportunity
and talks
to
about
rise.
security.
Now, you know, when I made the
The
public
argument that
announcement of my
right-wingers
support
make is
for
whatever
President
fucking
Trump,
argument fits their
all
narrative
hell
at the
broke
time.
loose. I was threatened, called an embarrassment, and asked to resign by my own party. Unfortunately, that's consistent with the Democratic Party and how they
this
view
dude's a Democrat.
independent thinking black men and women.
What did he do? What's he accused of?
But I'm
Let's
here to
find
tell
out,
you
shall we?
that black voices are becoming more woke and louder than ever. The Democratic Party has become infected with a pandemic of intolerance, bigotry, socialism, anti-law enforcement bias, and a dangerous tolerance for people who attack others, destroy their property, and terrorize our own communities. That's what this election is all about. And that's why right now, more than ever before, America needs Donald Trump in the Oval Office for another 4 years. God bless you, and vote Donald J. Trump. Thank you.
In 2018, a gunman walked into Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, and changed my life forever. My name is Andrew Pollock. His name isn't worth saying. One of the seniors walking in the hallways that day was my beautiful daughter, Meadow. She was just months away from graduating and beginning a new life. We were so proud of the woman she had become. But in the hallway on that 3rd floor, the gunman saw Meadow and shot her down the hallway, hitting her 4 times. After she was shot and on the floor, she crawled over to another student, a freshman girl, to protect her. She draped her body over her, and then the scumbag gunman shot my daughter at point-blank range 5 more times. killing Meadow and the girl she was shielding. She had a whole life ahead of her. And in that life, she could have done anything and been anything. So many moments that I waited so long for were taken from me. I didn't get to drop her off at college.
So the Democrat that spoke a few minutes ago, he's accused of all kinds of shit.
But every moment was taken from her, and for what?
Some like real estate,
I never
shady
wanted
real
this to
estate
become
deals.
a political spectacle, but it did.
He's accused
I never
of
wanted to meet the president
misspending,
like this, but I did.
official funds.
I was invited to the White House.
He
The
was
truth
sued
is,
for racial
I just
discrimination
buried my
against two
daughter that
white
week.
people.
I really
Now that's
wasn't
interesting.
interested in public events like a tour or a photo op. I was interested in answers and solutions. So if the president
And then
wanted to meet
there
me
was another person
personally,
involved
I
that
said
was
I'd go.
black.
They said, of course,
And
that
they
was
won
his
their
plan.
suit.
At the White House, my family and I sat with the president in the Oval Office and told him about Meadow. I told him what we knew. I told him that his administration needed to take a closer look at what went wrong and why. And I got to see who President Trump really is. He's a good man and a great listener, and he cuts through the BS. Then the president did what he said he would do. He took action. He formed a school safety commission that issued dozens of recommendations to make schools safer. But I'll bet you never heard about that. Instead, the media turned my daughter's murder into a coordinated attack on President Trump, Republicans, and our Second Amendment. In fact, when President Trump asked me and other parents of children that were murdered in school shootings to join him as he announced the commission's findings, the media's first question wasn't about protecting kids. Shockingly, they asked about the government shutdown. President Trump turned to me appalled and said, "Andy, can you believe these people? We're trying to talk about school safety, and this is what they do." But I could believe it. After my daughter's murder, the media didn't seem interested in the facts, so I found them myself. I learned that gun control laws didn't fail my daughter. People did. The gunman had threatened to kill his classmates before. He had threatened to rape them. He had threatened to shoot up the school. Every red flag you could imagine. But the school didn't just miss these red flags, they knowingly ignored them. Far-left Democrats in our school district made this shooting possible.
Schools are incredibly
because they
sensitive to
implemented
that kind of
something
shit
they
now.
called
Even when
restorative
I was in
justice.
school
This
fucking
policy,
20 years ago.
which really just blames teachers for students' failures, puts kids and teachers at risk and makes shootings more likely. But it was billed as a pioneering approach to discipline and safety. I was just fine with the old approach to discipline and safety. It was called discipline and safety. But the Obama-Biden administration
What a
took
line.
Parkland's bad policies and forced them into schools across America. When President Trump rescinded Obama's guidance on restorative justice policies, he put an end to that. And that meant the world to me. It's hard to tell how much Mr. Biden understands about what happened at Parkland. Mr. Biden has campaigned on bringing back restorative justice as part of his unity platform with Bernie Sanders and has pledged to implement it in school districts across America. But he doesn't even seem to know when the shooting happened.
He did drop a whole bunch of
He said that he was
policy
vice president when it happened, but he wasn't. Mr. Biden may not know when my daughter was murdered, but I do. February 14, 2018. Mr. Biden may not know that these policies make shootings more likely, but I do. Mr. Biden may not know who was vice president that day, but I do. It wasn't Joe Biden, it was Mike Pence. Thank God. And I know who the president was, too. It wasn't Barack Obama, it was President Donald J. Trump, and he took action. I truly believe the safety of our kids depends on whether this man is reelected. I hope you'll join me in helping to make that happen. Mr. President, myself and millions of Americans appreciate you and love you. God bless America, and God bless our president, Donald J. Trump. Thank you.
It's always weird when they make the argument like, I'm glad that Trump was president when my child got shot in school. I'm glad George W. Bush was president 9/11. Uh-oh. Oh, here we go.
Mark McCloskey says he and his family have been threatened with violence.
Under Missouri law, you have a right to defend.
Where did those sound bites come
Search warrant
from?
has been executed at the home of Mark and Patricia McCloskey.
The husband and wife attorneys charged with pointing guns at protesters.
They were simply trying to protect their home.
Good evening, America. We are Mark and Patty McCloskey. We're speaking to you tonight from St. Louis, Missouri, where just weeks ago you may have seen us defending our home as a mob of protesters descended on our neighborhood.
America is such a great country that not only do you have the right to own a gun and use it to defend yourself, but thousands of Americans will offer you free advice on how to use it. At least that's what we experienced. What you saw happen to us could just as easily happen to any of you who are watching from quiet
What
neighborhoods
happened to you?
around our
That's
country.
what I don't
and
understand.
That's what we want to speak to you about tonight.
They were marching to the
That's
mayor's
exactly
house,
right.
was it?
Whether it's the defunding of police, ending cash bail so criminals can be released back out on the streets the same day to riot again, or encouraging anarchy and chaos on our streets, it seems as if the Democrats no longer view the government's job as protecting honest citizens from criminals, but rather protecting criminals from honest citizens. Not a single person in the out-of-control
Well,
mob
I mean, the
you
Bill
saw
of
at our
Rights
house
really
was
does,
charged with a
say
crime.
the things the government can't
But
do
you know who was?
to you during the legal
We were.
process and shit, you know?
They've actually charged us with felonies for daring to defend our home. On top of that, consider
you didn't
this.
defend
The
your
Marxist
home. You were
liberal
kind of the
activists
aggressor in the
leading the
situation.
mob to our neighborhood stood outside our home with a bullhorn screaming, "You can't stop the revolution." Just weeks later, that same Marxist activist won the Democrat nomination to hold a seat in the U.S. House of
They
Representatives.
just say the word Marxist.
In the
They can't
city
even
of St.
define
Louis.
what Marxist
That's the same
is.
as winning the general
They
election.
just love saying
That
it because
Marxist
the boogeyman.
revolutionary
Ooh,
is
Marxist.
now going to be the Congresswoman from the 1st District of Missouri. These radicals are not content with marching in the streets. They want to walk the halls of Congress. They want to take over. They want power. This is Joe Biden's party. These are the people who will be in charge of your future and the future of your children.
They're not satisfied with spreading the chaos and violence into our communities. They want to abolish the suburbs altogether by ending single-family home zoning. This forced rezoning would bring crime, lawlessness, and low-quality apartments into now thriving suburban neighborhoods. President Trump smartly ended this government overreach, but Joe Biden wants to bring it back. These are the policies that are coming to a neighborhood near you. So make no mistake, no matter where you live, your family will not be safe in the radical Democrats' America.
At this moment in history, if you stand up for yourself and for the values our country was founded on, the mob, spurred on by their allies in the media, will try to destroy you. You've seen us on your TV screens and Twitter feeds. You know that we're not
No, I
the
think it's
kind
just
of
public
people who
opinion
back
is
down.
against you. I don't think it's people in the
Thankfully,
media
neither
trying
is
to
Donald
destroy
Trump.
you.
President Trump will defend the God-given right of every American to protect their homes and their families. But more than that, Trump's vision for America is a country where you have an opportunity to work hard and build the life you dream of with a job you love, with your children being educated in great schools, in a community where your family can play in the backyard without fear, worship in a church without shame, and express your beliefs without retribution. Trump brought us the greatest economy our country had ever seen.
That's
The
totally
Democrats
not true.
have brought us nothing but destruction.
When we don't have basic safety and security in our communities, we'll never be free to build a brighter future for ourselves, for our children, or for our country. That's what's at stake in this election, and that's why we must re-elect Donald Trump. God bless you, God bless the President, and God bless these United States.
Kimberly Guilfoyle.
Good evening, America. I'm Kimberly Guilfoyle. I speak to you tonight as a mother, a former prosecutor, a Latina, and a proud American. And yes, a proud supporter of President Donald J. Trump. Why? Because he is the president who delivers for America. He built the greatest economy the world has ever known for the strivers, the working class and middle class. As Commander-in-Chief, he always puts America first. President Trump is the law and order president. Now, presidential leadership is not guaranteed. It is a choice. Biden, Harris, and the rest of the socialists will fundamentally change this nation. They want open borders, closed schools, dangerous amnesty, and will selfishly send your jobs back to China while they get rich. They will defund, dismantle, and destroy America's law enforcement. When you are in trouble and need police, don't count on the Democrats.
Listen to that tone.
As a first-generation American, I know how dangerous their socialist agenda is. My mother, Mercedes, was a special education teacher from Aguadilla, Puerto Rico. My father, also an immigrant, came to this nation in pursuit of the American dream. Now I consider it my duty to fight to protect that dream.
Was this the way she was
Rioters
on
must
Fox?
not be allowed to destroy our cities. Human sex drug traffickers should not be allowed to cross our border. The same socialist policies which destroyed places like Cuba and Venezuela must not take root in our cities and our schools.
I bet Cuba's doing way better with the coronavirus.
If you want to see the socialist Biden-Harris future for our country, just take a look at California. It is a place of immense wealth, immeasurable innovation, and immaculate environment. And the Democrats turned it into a land of discarded heroin needles in parks, riots in streets, and blackouts in homes.
Like, this is a
in
bad...
President Trump's America, we light things up. We don't dim them down. We build things up. We don't burn them down. We kneel in prayer, and we stand for our flag. This election is a battle for the soul of America. Your choice is clear.
She kind of scares me.
Do you support the cancel culture, the cosmopolitan elites of Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and Joe Biden, who blame America first? Do you think America is to blame? Or do you believe in American greatness? Believe in yourself, in President Trump, in individual and personal responsibility. They want to destroy this country.
It's a very rehearsed
and
smile.
Everything that we have fought for and hold dear. They want to steal your liberty, your freedom. They want to control what you see and think and believe so that they can control how you live. They want to enslave you to the weak, dependent, liberal, victim ideology to the point that you will not recognize this country or yourself.
Don't get me wrong, when I was a theater kid in
From the beginning,
I gave many a monologue
President Trump
like
spoke
this.
about making America great again. He was speaking about that shining city on a hill and restoring the beacon of light that once shined so bright. His promise was to put America first, and he has. When President Trump cut middle-class taxes, putting tens of thousands of dollars back in the pockets of working-class Americans, that beacon began to flicker once again.
It didn't go to the working-class Americans.
When President Trump commanded the defeat of ISIS, took out al-Baghdadi and Soleimani, and paved the way for peace in the Middle East, that beacon started to glow. When he negotiated historic trade deals with Canada, Mexico, Japan, and China, bringing back thousands of manufacturing jobs to America, that beacon shined bright once again for the world to see. America, it's all on the line. President Trump believes in you. He emancipates and lifts you up to live your American dream. You are capable. You are qualified, you are powerful, and you have the ability to choose your life and determine your destiny. Don't let the Democrats take you for granted. Don't let them step on you. Don't let them destroy your families, your lives, and your future. Don't let them kill future generations because they told you and brainwashed you and fed you lies that you weren't good enough. like my parents, you can achieve your American dream. You can be that shining example to the world. Manifest and be the change in this country that you dream, that you hope, that you believe in. Stand for an American president who is fearless, who believes in you, and who loves this country and will fight for her. President Trump is the leader who will rebuild the promise of America and ensure that every citizen can realize their American dream. Ladies and gentlemen, leaders and fighters for freedom and liberty and the American dream, the best is yet to come.
Wow. That didn't seem Nazi at all. Not in any way, shape, or form. Totally did not remind me of a fucking Nazi speech.
I'm Congressman Steve Scalise. We're facing some tough challenges in America.
He was the one that got shot,
This isn't the first time we've been here. I've worked closely with Donald Trump over the last few years, and if there's one constant theme to how he approaches problems, it's how much he cares about the hardworking people that Washington left behind. I've seen this firsthand. After I was shot on a baseball field by a leftist gunman, first responders rushed me to a hospital where I battled for my life. That same night, Donald Trump came to the hospital along with First Lady Melania Trump. They consoled my wife Jennifer. They were there for my family in my darkest hours. Donald Trump would call to check on me throughout the following weeks, just to see how I was doing. That's the kind of person he is.
I really don't want to rag on this
That's
guy.
the side of Donald Trump that the media will never show you. Look, there's a lot at stake.
I totally don't want to call him a jar
This
of
is an
mayo,
election
but
between a
just
party
kinda
that
what
wants
he
to
reminds
burn
me
down
of.
the foundations of our country to the
Like, his
ground,
head looks
and a party
exactly
that
like
wants
a
to
jar of
rebuild
mayo.
and protect our great nation. The left wants to defund the police.
Yes.
This is personal to me. I wouldn't be here without the bravery and heroism of the men and women in law enforcement who saved my life. President Trump stands with those brave men and women.
The doctors and
Joe
the
Biden
nurses
has
had
embraced
more
the
to
left's
do with
insane mission
that.
to defund them. There won't be an America to leave to our children and grandchildren without those brave law enforcement officers and first responders. Joe Biden's made a career in Washington for 47 years, promising things he's never delivered. In just 3 short years,
Now, that's
President
true.
Trump has
That's a
delivered
true criticism.
huge wins for American families. While Joe Biden made hollow promises when he chaired the Senate Judiciary Committee, Donald Trump took action and delivered criminal justice reform. Joe Biden claims to care about the working man, but
I don't
millions
think
of good
so.
manufacturing jobs were shipped overseas during the Obama-Biden years to countries like China. Donald Trump brought those jobs back. I've seen how deeply President Trump cares about rebuilding our evaporating middle class. President Trump pledged to give the forgotten men and women of America a real shot at the American dream. And again, he delivered. The lowest unemployment rate in over 50 years.
I don't know, bring the Nazi back
women
on. She
creating
was
small
interesting.
businesses at record pace. Wages rising, the fastest, by the way, for lowest income levels. What can Joe Biden say to that? What has Joe Biden done in his 47 years in Washington that can compare to that? President Trump has delivered for the hardworking people of this great nation. It's going to take that kind of bold leadership to get us out of this COVID crisis. After President Trump saved lives by shutting down flights from China and Europe, he's now focusing the full weight of the government on a revolutionary plan to cure this virus by cutting red tape and empowering scientists to create a vaccine. This is visionary leadership in action at a time when we can't afford another 47 years of hollow promises. America's been through tough times before. Who better to lead us out of these times
like the
than the
toughest
president
time
who
now.
already built the strongest
What,
economy our
President
country has ever
Poopy
seen?
Pants?
Donald Trump did it before. Donald Trump will deliver for us again. God bless you, and God bless these United States of America.
I'm Sean Parnell, and it is an honor to be here. In 2006, the Army sent me to Afghanistan as a young platoon leader, placed in command of Americans from every corner of our planet. Our platoon reflected the diversity of our nation, every race, creed, and religion. Despite those differences, we were bound together as brothers from the same American family. On June 10, 2006, our platoon was attacked just after dawn. Outnumbered 10-1, we endured mortar and machine gun fire as hundreds of Taliban charged us from 3 sides.
Oh,
we had
God,
24
please
men
do
that day.
not let this guy win.
Wave after wave of Taliban advanced up the hill. I was wounded 3 times in the fighting. Nearly all of my platoon was wounded within the first minute, but the enemy kept coming. We fought to our last rounds of ammunition, and when it was over, we held the hill. In the face of death, I saw ordinary Americans become heroes. In our darkest hour, when our survival depended on each other, my men and I learned an important lesson. We all bleed red. Our differences did not define us. United, we were unbeatable. After 485 days of combat, I came home eager to enjoy the freedoms I risked my life to defend. But I watched with alarm as the party of my grandfather, a lifelong Union Democrat, turned against the very people it professed to represent. I watched as Joe Biden spit venom at an auto worker who dared to question Joe's intent to dismantle the Second Amendment and take your guns.
Well,
where Democrats once stood for hard-working, law-abiding Americans who displayed
you
our
had me in the
flag with
first half,
pride,
kid.
This new Democrat Party considers these people uneducated racists clinging to guns and Bibles. The party of Harry Truman became the party of hedge fund managers, Hollywood celebrities, tech moguls, and university professors, all bloated with contempt for middle America. I look across the aisle and I do not see a party that wants you to pursue your dreams. I see a Democrat Party that wants to dictate what those dreams are. I don't see a party that wants you to be free. I see a party that wants to chain you to conformity and will destroy anyone they deem a heretic. I swore an oath to defend my country and its Constitution. President Trump has sworn to do the same. That's why he's advanced freedom, despite savage political attacks, to overcome the agenda of the radical left. President Trump has unleashed the economic might of this nation like no other president in our history. He triggered the rising tide of working families, brought us energy independence, reclaimed jobs from overseas that, Democrats said would never return. He has fiercely defended the besieged First and Second Amendments. That is just a start. With 4 more years, imagine what we can achieve by simply working with our president. I believe in our president's vision for the future. I stand here tonight calling on all Americans to join us. It doesn't matter what you look like, who you love, how you worship your gender or your job. If you're a traditional Democrat who's become disillusioned with how radical your party has become, then stand with us.
I don't know what he means by
welcome.
radical. If they're
America
nominating
needs
Joe
all
Biden,
her patriots to rush to her defense.
Right?
My fellow Americans, I promise you this. In our tent, you are free. Free to speak the truth, choose your journey, define your life.
When he says
you have
radical,
the power to go as far as you aim, then aim higher and
this
keep
is
going,
where the candidates
that is what
fall.
Americans do. We are idealists and dreamers, lovers of adventure. We're rugged and independent.
Biden is
we don't
all the
make
way
excuses.
over here on the right wing.
We make the
Yes,
impossible
Biden is
a reality.
incredibly radical.
Think about
radical
it.
right
In a
wing.
century, we went from ground-bound dreamers gazing to the stars to doers who created the means to reach them. This is not the time to stand on the sidelines. If you love our country as we do, as our president does, join the chorus of patriot voices that will preserve this exceptional union. Mr. President, lead the way. Millions in our American family believe in this path to destiny. Guide us to that horizon. Thank you, and may God bless the United States of America.
Oh shit, that smile.
We come together
Whoa.
to imagine a future.
Music changed there. Oh, we're at the top of the
by
hour.
The shining
What are they
light of
pulling
our
out?
hopes and values and faith. A country where we are judged by our character with dignity and respect for all.
We get the
belief that all
WWE
are created equal, that lives matter irrespective of
video
race,
guy, do a
creed,
package for
or
them.
color. committed to excelling beyond our dreams. 4 years ago, we faced an historic crossroad. Career politicians promising change every election, but delivering emptiness. We chose a different path. A man who is not a politician, a man who cares, a man who works tirelessly for you. Still, politicians spun their deceptions and obstructed progress, fanning the flames of
spends most of the day watching TV.
We all know that it is easy to criticize. It takes a true leader to solve problems. COVID-19, while others criticize without solutions. President Trump's swift action saved lives. And as leading Democrats want to keep businesses closed down, our president is leading the way for a full economic recovery. We are America. We as Americans work together to overcome challenges, write our own stories. America. Land of promise.
America.
Land of opportunity. Land of heroes. Land of greatness.
I thought I had been forgotten. I nearly gave up hope.
I was so afraid.
I believed I would die here.
American hostages, forgotten and wasting away in far-off prisons, wrongfully detained by foreign governments. Americans were beaten, abused, starved, and left for dead. Until President Donald Trump stepped in.
The 3 American hostages finally back on U.S. soil after being held captive in North Korea.
We're following some breaking news in Turkey where an American pastor, Andrew Brunson, has been released.
An American jailed in Egypt is back in the U.S. this morning after an intervention by the Trump administration.
A tough and skilled negotiator, President Trump successfully won the release of detainees and prisoners, among the most of any
I would say they got released in
history.
spite of Trump.
While families waited in despair for news of their loved ones, President Trump provided a new spark of hope by bringing our hostages home.
We have Danny Burge back home, where he should be. He was in Yemen in a very horrible situation. Yesterday, the United States government secured the release of Caitlin Coleman, Joshua Boyle, and their 3 children. Today, we are bringing home another American citizen. We just had news that Turkey released a prisoner that we were
I made
trying
turkey
to get
last
to the
night. It
United
was really
States.
good.
Under this administration, America has not and will not turn its back on our people. President Trump will bring them home.
Diplomacy, negotiation skills, perseverance, faith. The ingredients of hope when there is no hope. No American should ever be left behind. Priority, freeing American hostages.
We have 6 incredible people who were held hostage by various countries, and I'm very pleased to let everybody know
Was
that
one
we
of
brought
them
back
the person they
over
let out of
50
jail
hostages
here?
from 22 different countries. We worked very hard on it, Ambassador O'Brien and others, and I will tell you, we're very proud of the job we did. But I'd like to ask maybe Pastor Brunson to say a few words, so we can go through and just give us a little history of what happened and how is life treating you.
I was held in Turkey for 2 years, and you took unprecedented steps, actually, to secure my release, and your administration really fought for me. And I think if you hadn't done that, I may still be in Turkey. So I'm very grateful.
28 years, right?
I think,
they had you there for,
isn't
they had you scheduled for a
friends
long
of
time,
Trump?
Andrew.
Yes.
We had to get you back. And I have to say that, to me, President Erdogan was very good. And I know they had you scheduled for a long time, and you were a very innocent person. And he ultimately, after we had a few conversations, he agreed. So we appreciate that, and we appreciate the people of Turkey. And you still appreciate the people of Turkey, I understand, right?
We love the Turkish people. We still
That's
do.
great.
It's great to have you back, Andrew. Thank you.
I always want to go to Turkey.
Please.
Mr. President, thank you for having me.
Thank
My
you.
name's Sam Goodwin. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. I was held in Syria for 63 days, and I think I speak for my fellow former hostages and detainees here when I say I'm as grateful as I've ever been for anything to be home safely. And thank you for the invitation and opportunity to be here. Particularly, Ambassador O'Brien was incredibly supportive and helpful to my family, and can't say enough nice things about him. Thank you for promoting him. And just really happy to be here, so thank you.
We got you back.
You got me back, yeah.
We got you all back, and we have some more that we're working on right now to get back that we better do. Please, go ahead.
My name is Michael White, Mr. President. I do, once again, it's an honor to be here, honor to meet you in person. Basically, what had happened with me is I traveled over to the country of Iran. It turned out it was a major trap, and I was apprehended there. I went through a lot in their injustice system, in the Iranian justice system. Iran is an oppressive, extortionist, terrorist regime. You know what I'm talking about. But what you did, sir, is you were able to get me out of that prison in record time. It was amazing.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Really
The
appreciate
honor's
it.
all mine.
Please.
Yeah, my name's Josh Holt. This is my
I
wife,
think that
Tammy.
dude was doing
we were held hostage in Venezuela for 2 years.
I know very well.
And you helped us get out. Senator Hatch worked with you very well on that as well. And it was a great honor to be able to meet you right when we got back. And I remember a lot of people asking me, what was it like meeting President Trump? And I just say I was blown away. I'd just gotten released after 2 years. Then I'm shaking the hand of the president in the Oval Office. So I don't really remember a whole lot of it. So it's nice to meet you again. And it's been great. It's been great to be back, helping people through situations that they've gone through. And now we have started our family.
Well, the great people of Utah really wanted me to do something about the two of you, and we were able to do it. And a little bit of a miracle, I think, frankly.
It was.
Because that was a very hostile period. And
that was his wife?
We appreciate everybody working so hard with us, but we were able to get you both back. And are you living in Utah now, I hope?
We're still living in Utah.
That's good. We'll say hello to the folks in Utah, because they're great people. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Please.
Great people.
I'm Brian Aaron. Spent an unexpected trip there in India. I was not going to India. I was going through India to Nepal, where I've been working for the last 18 years. But on behalf of my family and myself, thank you, President Trump, for getting us out and getting us home. The darkest moment of our whole time together, your letter to my wife came, and it really gave her the hope and the peace. And
that's great.
From that time forward, as more people got involved, especially the ambassador there in India, things became more peaceful, and the hope was there for the last 4 months that we really would get to come home, because they had planned on keeping me for 3 to 5 years. The original charge thing was 3 to 5 years, and that was cleared, and then they came up with new charges to do a 7-year term.
Well, India responded very well to my request, so we appreciate that.
And I appreciate everything y'all did.
Thank you all for being with us. We have a few more people we want to get back, and we will get them back, and they'll be back very soon.
It's so
Thank you very
weird,
much.
like when it comes to a black man
Big
here in
stories.
America, people are like, well, what did they do? I want to hear the whole story. When it comes to white people abroad.
My name is Maximo Alvarez. I live in Miami, Florida, not far from the state of Florida, which is in just a 90-mile wide blue strip on a map for me. It divides freedom from fear. It divides the past from the present, from the future. I know all about the past. I'll never forget my
I
own.
would hope so. You're fucking old.
My family has fled totalitarianism and communism more than once.
It's not called the
First my
past.
dad
It's
from
just called
Spain,
your fucking memories.
then from Cuba. But my families don't run away. By the grace of God,
Sounds like they did.
I live the American dream. The greatest blessing I ever had. My dad, who only had a 6th grade education, told me, don't lose this place. You'll never be as lucky as me. I'm speaking to you today because my family is done abandoning what we rightfully earned. There's no place to hide. I'm speaking to you today because President Trump may not always be politically correct. He's in fact a successful businessman.
He's never
Not your average
correct.
career
He's
politician.
not a successful businessman.
Our president is just another family man, a friend, and most important, our elected commander-in-chief
A
puts
pedophile.
America first. Keep in mind, the other guy running for president is mostly concerned about power. Yes, power for them, but not for the benefit of all Americans. I'm speaking to you today because I have seen people like this before. I've seen movements like this before. I've seen ideas like this before. And I am here to tell you, we cannot let them take over our country. I heard the promises of Fidel Castro, and I can never forget all those who grew up around me, who looked like me, who suffered and starved and died because they believed those empty promises. They swallowed the communist poison pill.
Oh, he's pulling out some tears on us.
Go to the Freedom Tower in Miami. Stop and listen. You can still hear the sounds of those broken promises. It is the sound of waves in the ocean carrying families clinging to pieces of wood. Families with children who can't swim, but willing to risk everything to reach this blessed land. It is the sound of tears hitting the paper of an application to become an American citizen. Most heard and liked the promises, but soon after, they experienced the reality.
So this guy's an odd speaker to bring up to speak to a party that is completely against people fleeing violence from
those false promises.
Southern Hemisphere.
The wealth.
I guess
free
Cuba's
education,
not the Southern Hemisphere, is it?
free health care. Defund the police.
By quite a bit.
Trust the socialist state more than your family and your community. They don't sound radical to my ears. They sound familiar. And Fidel Castro was asked if he was a communist. He said he was a Roman Catholic. He knew he had to hide the truth. But the country I was born in is gone, totally destroyed. When I watch the news in Seattle, Chicago, Portland, and other cities, when I see the history being rewritten, when I hear the promises, I've heard echoes of the former life I never wanted to hear again. I see shadows I thought I had outrun. My parents only wanted one person to decide my fate, me. Not some party member, not some government official, not some bureaucrat. In America, I would decide my own future. I am so grateful to America, the place where I was able to build my American dream through hard work and determination.
What was that Disney
President
movie
Trump
with
knows that the American story was written by people just like you and I, who love our country and take risks to build a future for our families and neighbors.
Wish my name was Maximo.
I may be a Cuban-born, but I am 100% American. This is the greatest country in the world.
By what metric? I keep asking that question and I never get an answer.
If I gave away everything that I have today, it would not equal 1% of what I was given when I came to this great country of ours. The gift of freedom. Right now, it is up to us to decide our fate and to choose freedom over oppression.
I would love to choose freedom over oppression.
He's fighting the forces of anarchy and communism.
I'm not voting for
and I know he will continue to do just that. And what about his opponent and the rest of the DC swamp?
I have no doubt others to vote for Biden.
They will hand the country over to those dangerous forces. You and I will decide. And here's what I've decided. My decision is very easy. I choose President Trump because I choose America.
I think you do it because right-wingers are morons.
Well, I still hear my dad.
You can buy the shirt. Link down below.
There is no other place to go. Thank you, and may the good Lord bless America.
Democrats are just going more and more left. Very positive about socialism, liking it more than capitalism.
Many of the ideas we fought for that were considered radical are now mainstream. The compromise that they came up with, if implemented, will make Biden the most progressive president since FDR.
The radical left has
That's
taken
not
over
a
the
very high
Democratic Party,
bar, though.
and Joe Biden is marching in lockstep with them. Biden and the far left are promising to crush middle-class families with trillions in new
I've
taxes.
said it a million times, I'd vote for the Biden thing.
Promising amnesty
Dave
and health care for 11 million illegal immigrants.
Citizenship for 11 million undocumented folks.
Promising to shut down energy exploration, killing jobs, and hurting America's economy.
I guarantee you, we're going to end fossil fuel.
In Joe Biden's America, the radical left get whatever they want, and you get to pay for it. They've already taken over Joe Biden and the Democratic Party. Don't let them take over America.
Oh, Nikki Haley.
Good evening. I'm Nikki Haley, and it's great to be back at the Republican National Convention.
Halfway
I'll start
respectable
with a little
person they
story.
have.
It's about an
Boy, did
American
she sell her
ambassador to the
reputation
United
out.
Nations, and it's about a speech she gave to this convention. She called for the re-election of the Republican president she served, and she called out his Democratic opponent, a former vice president from a failed administration. That ambassador said, and I quote, "Democrats always blame America first." The year was 1984. The president was Ronald Reagan. And
The worst
Ambassador
president
Jean
we've
Kirkpatrick's
had
words
the last 50
are
years,
just
for
as
sure.
true today.
Well, I
Joe
don't know. There's been
Biden
so
and
many
the
other
Democrats
fucking worse
are still
Republican presidents.
blaming
Shit.
America
Trump.
first.
Shit.
Donald
Sorry.
Trump has always
Shit.
put America first.
Holy shit.
And he has earned 4 more years as president. It was an honor of a lifetime to serve as the United States ambassador to the United Nations. Now, the UN is not for the faint of heart. It's a place where dictators, murderers, and thieves denounce America and then put their hands out and demand that we pay their bills. Well, President Trump put an end to all of that.
It sounds like it's like
With his
the
leadership,
Thunderdome
we
or some
did what
shit.
Barack Obama and Joe Biden refused to do. We stood up for America.
The UN
and we
sounds
stood
more fun
against
than the
our
WWE
enemies.
Thunderdome.
Obama and Biden let North Korea threaten America. President Trump rejected that weakness, and we passed the toughest sanctions on North Korea in history. Obama and Biden let Iran get away with murder and literally sent them a plane full of cash. President Trump
Literally.
did the right thing and ripped up
She's
the Iran
wrong. They
nuclear
did not
deal.
literally send them a
Obama
plane
and
full of
Biden
cash.
led the United Nations to denounce our friend and ally,
I don't
Israel.
think. I'm pretty sure they just
President
unfroze
Trump
some assets.
moved our embassy to Jerusalem, and when the UN tried to condemn us, I was proud to cast the American veto. This president has a record of strength
You have a caller
and
here.
success. The former vice
You're on the
president
Troll
has
Patrol,
a record
live.
of weakness and failure. Joe Biden is good for Iran
What's
and
going
ISIS,
on?
great for communist China, and he's a godsend to everyone who wants America to apologize.
Caller,
for
you're on the
standing
Troll
and
Patrol.
abandon our values.
Live.
Donald Trump takes a different
Mr. Mullins, what's going on, buddy?
Not a thing. What's going on with you?
and won.
Man, not a whole lot. I got a couple of questions
to
for you. Like, I'm trying to get a better understanding
home, the
of
president
your
is the
view
clear
of things
choice
and your
on
perspective
jobs
on
and the
things, and I was
economy.
hoping maybe you
He's
would
moved
elucidate
America
me.
forward, while Joe
All right, I'm
Biden
going to turn
has
Nikki
held
Haley
America
down
back.
here. We've been watching
When
the
Joe was
RNC.
VP, I was governor of the great state.
What do you want
Yeah,
to
I've
know,
been
my
watching it
brother?
along with you. So, two things. First of all, why do you like Nikki Haley? What is it about her that separates her from the other Republicans?
Oh, I didn't say I like Nikki Haley. She was just the only one that had a good reputation going into the Trump administration.
In what way?
She was pretty well looked at in mainstream media, mainstream outlets as like one of the sane Republicans. At one point in time, a lot of people thought that she would be president.
So I'm not trying to like gotcha or anything like that, but you basically, the way I interpret what you just said is that you like her because the mainstream.
I didn't say I liked her. I just said she had a good reputation.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Second question. Okay. You said that I believe your question was, by what measure is America the greatest nation on earth? Is that
yes? What measure?
You said basically. Okay. So I'm not even going to attack that because I don't think there's a rational argument to say any country is the best country on earth. But
I like that. Okay.
I do wonder if there is another nation that you would definitively and completely put above America on that hierarchy.
Well, let's get back to this. I asked a question. I said, what metric? Like what? Because there are categories. There's data. You can rank data. What metric are we the greatest country? Because Republicans say that all the time, right?
Yeah, well, I don't think it's just Republicans, but I do think it's definitely a more Republican thing. I think Republicans tend to be more patriotic. I mean, you could. I think it's fair to say that they're more blindly patriotic. Like a lot of times, they don't even really have a logical basis for saying that.
I'll agree to that.
And that's I'm a centrist, by the way, just to throw that out there. I'm very much a centrist. I kind of lean more right nowadays than I have in the past, just because I think things went so far left that you kind of need to lean back a little bit the other direction.
Oh, okay, are you? Do you have the stream up? Oh.
I do, but I have it muted.
Okay. Oh yeah.
And there's a delay, so.
Oh, I totally understand. Like, what do you mean? Like the country's gone left. Do you see the chart, the political alignment? Do you see how far to the right Biden is? He's over here. He's so far. Like Trump is up here in the authoritarian, almost like falling off the cliff. Biden's over here on the far right side of the spectrum. Sanders is here. You say you're a centrist. Sanders is here in the center. So I don't know. People say gone far left. I don't know what you're talking about. In what way have we gone far left?
So the Overton window, are you familiar with that term?
Yes, of course. The Overton window has moved far to the right, as I just demonstrated by the politicians.
Well, I would argue that actually what we're seeing is the Overton window has moved in the opposite direction. So anybody who is toward the right end of the Overton window appears to be much farther right than they actually are. And also the political compass is heavily left biased to begin with. So
I don't. Where are you getting this assessment from?
That's a good question. I was kind of assumed it was always common knowledge. I've heard so many people say it. Me myself, like it puts me in the bottom left quadrant, just barely, but I'm just off the axis.
The center. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm almost right on the crosshair. Yeah.
So you said you were a centrist and it put you on the crosshairs. So why would you have reason to doubt it? I took it and I was like, okay, that's exactly where I'm at.
The kind of general consensus, and obviously that's not data,
that's blah, blah, blah. That don't mean anything.
Okay, all I'm saying is that the general consensus is that it is slightly left biased.
That general consensus. Whose general consensus?
Again, like Reddit, for example.
Oh, that is not. And you're gonna tell me that they think it's a left bias? Well, of course they do. They're fucking Nazis, you know.
Reddit? Yeah. Oh, okay. So
it leans right, far right.
I think I'm starting to pick up on a pattern here.
Okay.
So you are like hyper far to the left, right?
I personally am, yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna start trying to work with your terminology here. I'm not trying to like paint.
Well, no. What we're doing is we're doing like a precise. What do you call the left? First of all, what exactly is leftist policy? Define it.
Well, I don't think of the left as a set of policies. I think
but that's what it is.
The left is
it's a political ideology,
like defined by liberalism, and now it's defined by progressivism.
Ooh,
so
no. Like liberals, that would be centrist. Liberals would be like a corporatist, centrist, middle of the road. Obama was
I agree that is
corporatist
currently
centrist.
the case. I completely agree that that's the case, and I would even agree with the assertion that Obama is something, he's closer to the right than he is to the left.
Absolutely.
So
if you're telling me that a Democrat, the last Democratic president, was closer to the right, Bill Clinton was even further to the right than Obama, how would you make the argument that the country is far to the left when the only Democratic presidents in my lifetime have been to the right? How can you even make that argument? It seems absurd.
Because I've decoupled the terms left and democratic.
What is the left?
The left is the progressives.
No, okay.
The progressives, the socialists, the communists.
What does socialism mean?
All these various groups.
Do you know what socialism is?
Well, I have a pretty strong understanding of socialism. I think basically socialism is fundamentally it is a stepping stone to communism.
That's not a definition.
That's
what kind of
what
policy defines socialism? Because that's what I'm asking you. What is leftist policy? You're getting there. So socialism. So what is socialism?
Socialism. Again, I'm basically trying to work with you here. I'm not trying to I'm not trying to outthink you or anything. I'm not trying to make you sound dumb. I'm not trying to
you're certainly not, sir.
Like you're wrong.
You're not. I promise you.
Obviously.
What is socialism?
I know. Socialism is I'm talking about the political discourse, the way that people view.
I'm talking about the ideology. What is the ideology of socialism? If you're going to throw the term around and accuse people of it, or say that they believe in it, let's define what it is. That's what I want to do.
That's fair. I'm going to tell you what I conceptualize it as, and then you can correct me, okay?
Well, there's a textbook definition, man. You want to Google it real fast?
If that's what you want, yeah. I didn't know that.
I'll go ahead and tell you. It is public ownership of the means of production. It's an economic system, first of all. Okay, do you understand that? Like, it's not a form of government; it's a form of an economy. And the thing that we need to talk about from there is that no country is a pure anything. Every country is a mixed economy, right? You understand?
That's true.
Yeah, it is.
That's totally true. And it's not as if I don't see any value in socialism, and it's not as if I don't see that we already have a healthy dose of socialism already implemented here.
I mean, the countries that rank better than us in, like, remember when I said measuring metrics? The countries that rank better than us have more socialistic programs. The time that when was the most prosperous time in America?
I guess that would depend on your definition of prosperous.
In terms of GDP growth, wages and jobs and everything, when is considered the most prosperous time in America?
Off the top of my head, I'm just going to guess during World War II.
Post World War II.
Okay.
Okay. Do you know what that period? Do you know what the kind of policies that period were in play there?
I think you're going to tell me.
Yeah. They were far more socialistic. Big, like you had Eisenhower with the interstate building roads connecting all the fucking states together. We didn't have that before. A lot of investment in public works. That's socialism. One of the things that I advocate for is that the government can do a hell of a lot of things cheaper. We contract out a lot of things. So our form of government has been bought. Government works incredibly well. It has been bought by oligarchs, people that run companies. And now they're running the government in favor of business. That's the furthest thing from leftist policy, by the way. A true leftist, the far left of the, if you're talking about this political compass over here. Oh, I don't have it up anymore. But if you're in the far left side, you're advocating for seizure of public seizure of private property. That's what a true leftist is, all the way on the left side. So if you're in the centrist, that's one of the things. It's like our media, people say it's to the left. It is not to the left. It is a corporatist centrist view, which leans to the right. I had this conversation with a guy the other day. Like, Disney may market themselves as progressive because that's what the majority of the country is. But Disney advocating with their lobbyists is hard right. They're advocating for deregulations and tax cuts on them from a business interest, because that's what capitalism encourages.
Okay, so just to make sure I understand, you don't really, do you view this as like the political compass is like a singularity, which I do.
What does that mean?
Of kind of, well, like you're not decoupling the economics from the social policy.
What
or are
are
you
you
saying
talking
the
about?
social policy follows the economics? Well, socialism wouldn't. Socialism obviously does things to,
Is an
craft
economic
social
system.
Policy.
It's public ownership of the means of production. It would be like if you and I and 5 of our friends, we formed a business and we all owned a chunk of it. And we all shared in it together.
Again,
nobody made any more money than anybody else. That would be more socialistic.
So I'm not trying to do a definition thing here. So let's get a bit more esoteric.
I am trying to do a definition thing. I discuss policy.
So okay. Let me reset here. You asked again. Your question. What you asked is, by what metric is America the greatest nation?
Yes. What
in the country?
metric? Is it education? Is it quality of living? Is it GDP? What metric are we measuring that America is the greatest?
How do you? Oh, okay, so I think GDP would be a ludicrous way of making that assessment.
I agree.
I think that the standards by which you would want to ultimately measure that are things that you can't ultimately measure. So I think it's kind of a lost cause to try to quantify.
I think you're not wanting to say it because, like, I'll pull up a stat and we're not anywhere near the top in fucking anything in the world except the number of people we incarcerate because we live in a fucking fascist country.
I would say that there's an argument against every one of those metrics being the metric by which we should measure these things. Like,
I just said, which measurement do you want to take? I didn't say that that's the measurement we should take. People make the claim. I'm saying, what is the metric you measure that by? You see what I'm saying?
I would measure. Okay.
So which measurement are we taking? Because that's what I want to talk about.
I'm not arguing that America is the greatest country on earth, though.
Well, good, because you can't make that fucking argument. You'd be wrong.
I don't think anybody can make that argument for any country, is my point.
Okay, cool, fair enough. That was your question.
When other people point at other countries and say this country is better than America, my question to them is why? And then they'll say, education, for example. And I say, how do you actually measure the quality of education?
You can measure
outcomes. I never have an
outcomes.
answer for that. How do you measure that?
You do graduation rates, and you do how well people score on college entrance
so
exams.
easy that
how many
everyone
people
can
graduate college.
so
There's
what
all
does that
kinds of
even
different
matter?
ways to measure it. There's
I would
a
rather have 10%
gazillion different
people
ways to
graduate
quantify
a
data,
high-quality
man.
school. Exactly, which means none of them are empirical.
What? Do you know what the word
You
empirical
can interpret
means?
the same thing. I do, and I'm saying that if two different things that come out with two different results.
I'm not saying any one thing. I'm saying other people make the claim. I'm not the one that made the claim. I'm saying, how are we measuring it? You see what I'm saying?
I would measure it in something you can't measure. How about that? How about patriotism?
Well, that is just fucking absurd. Well, patriotism is just goddamn nonsense. People jacking themselves off for fucking nothing. Look at all those fucking flags Don Jr.'s got behind him. Do you know what that means? Goddamn, no, it's him jacking himself off. It's doing fucking nothing.
Are you saying he's turned on by the American flag?
Possibly. I'd say he's more turned on by getting pegged by Kimberly Guilfoyle.
Yeah, she does definitely have a dong. I'm with you on that one. So.
Thank you for agreeing.
Okay.
So what do you want to talk about now?
Yeah. So I'm a huge fan of Trump, actually.
Why? For what? What metric are we going to present for why Trump is good?
For the same reason, I'm surprised that you don't like him. Because he's.
Why would I?
The world's greatest. He's the world's greatest troll.
Oh, I'll give it. Ho. Well, first of all, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you that before 2016, I loved the fucking guy for the exact reason why you're saying. Dude, I'm a huge Trump fan. And still, I stand in awe of his troll game, man. Of course. But that has nothing to do with what fundamentally benefits me. Politics is a moneyball game, and I have to play my part in order to do. That's why you and I have the same class interests, so we have to play together in order to get what we have to extract our best interest from the government. And it's not my best interest to support Trump in any way, shape, or form.
I mean, I can see why you feel that way, but
I can show you why I feel that way in any number of metrics.
So, what do you want the government to do for you that it's not currently doing, and why do you feel like you deserve that?
What do you mean deserve? You deserve whatever you. That's a weird fucking question. The government fucking works for you. You pay taxes to it. Don't you want something in return for that?
No, I agree. I asked what they're not doing.
And here's the two things that government can do that the private sector can't do as well. And that's provide health care, not take over the healthcare industry, to provide health insurance, to do away with the health insurance industry. Just the single payer, that's what that's called. That the government becomes the insurer. Because do you know how insurance works?
No, I don't. I honestly.
The more people that are in the pool, the cheaper it is on everybody because it disperses the risk. You see what I'm saying?
No, I'm not arguing with that. I don't have an argument.
See, that's one of the reasons why that's kept prices high is because all the different insurance companies and all the different states, and they talk about eliminating the state by state, but there's no, because each state has different regulations, so no company is going to invest in that. The way you do away with it is you have single payer, puts everybody in the pool, makes it cheaper on everybody. It would like slash the cost that we pay already out of pocket in like fucking half. And it would provide better outcomes according to the metrics of health outcomes. We rank like 30-something, man. It's insane. Every other country has single payer ahead of us. So that's the first thing. Yeah. So you provide health care and then you provide education. Those are the two things government can do and do very, very efficiently and well, that do way better than the private sector, because that's the thing that our fucking education system is drowning in right now.
So I'm not disagreeing with you when you say.
And then when you provide everybody access to those two things, that's true freedom. Because that gives me the freedom to go to whatever fucking job I want, to start my own business. You'll see so much innovation from that. Those two things, that's freedom.
Okay, so what if a healthcare provider only wants to work with private payer?
It doesn't matter. Why?
I care about their freedom too. You know, I care about their freedom to.
Why does it matter if they're getting paid?
To control their own labor. I'm sorry.
Nothing changes. Nothing changes in the healthcare industry. The only thing that changes is who's paying the bill.
How do you?
Why do you want to pay a third party? You're just paying a middleman for no fucking reason. You realize that, right? That's what the insurance is. The insurance industry is. It's just a middleman that's there for no reason. And the reason why you're giving me these bullshit arguments is because they've spent a hell of a lot of money fucking propagandizing.
I'm not arguing. I'm asking questions. I'm asking you to elaborate your point.
What do you mean?
I'm genuinely not on the other side of this argument. I'm asking you questions to better understand yours.
What was the question? I missed it.
Yeah. So my question was, there's a couple questions, but really my main question is, what about the people in the healthcare industry? What about the providers? What about their labor? What
Nothing
about their
changes.
freedom?
Nothing changes. How does that change anything?
Okay, so well, for one, if I were a healthcare provider right now, for example, I would probably.
And I'm going to go ahead and stop it. Like, they prefer working with the government. They prefer Medicare and Medicaid, by the way. Have you talked to healthcare providers about this?
I've talked to my own doctor. That's, you know.
Because
one
fucking,
anecdote,
have
so I
you
don't
dealt
think it
with
goes very
insurance
far.
companies? They are a goddamn headache.
I hate the insurance companies. I think insurance is the greatest scam in the history of mankind. I hate it.
Then let's eliminate it then, because the government can do it better.
I would like to get rid of car insurance, health insurance. I'd like to get rid of all these.
Well, you can't get rid of car
I would like
insurance.
to-
That's absurd. You can get rid of health insurance
Why?
because the government can provide single payer, and then you never have to pay at the point of service. And it saves us
Why
all
couldn't they
money.
do that for cars?
Because you have to have car insurance. What happens if you hit anybody or if you hit somebody? And then, like, how are you going to pay without car insurance? That's not a scam. Life insurance is the scam.
Yeah. Okay, so what if
Car
the
insurance is
government
actually
just
an
takes
industry
care-
that's a necessity.
No, I mean, I hear what you're saying. Like, currently, that is the standard, is that you have to have the car insurance. But that wouldn't, I mean, you can make the same argument for healthcare, right? Like, what if you have a heart attack and you don't have insurance?
Exactly. What if you have a heart attack and you don't have insurance? Why?
Oh, okay, so take that, and then what if you have a car accident and the government just takes care of things for you?
We're talking about personal property. We're not talking about health insurance. Health insurance should be a right to everybody. You're talking about personal property damage. Insuring your personal property is that's a false analogy.
Well, you don't consider your body to be your personal property?
You're not getting what I'm saying.
No, I think I am. I guess I'm just trying to, like, take it to the next step.
How is insuring, like, when you're talking about insuring your car, we're making sure that if I get hit by somebody else and they damage my car gets paid. My car gets fixed. We're talking about another person. There's a third party involved in here, right? You want your property protected if somebody hits you, correct? And you want them to have that insurance in case they hit you. That's why it's a law. Because you don't want to have to pay that because they hit you. That's different than you getting health insurance through the government, and because they can provide it cheaper and more efficient.
I want to try and put this through a different lens. Play along with me if you can. If not, I understand. Instead of thinking I'm arguing with you, pretend that I'm quizzing you. Because I'm trying
just
to
explaining
understand
to you how
like, your
things work.
fundamentals here. I'm sorry, say again.
I'm just explaining how things work.
No, I mean I get that, but I guess what I'm saying is if we're gonna like say, hey government, you need to start doing these things. I'm like, I can maybe be persuaded to agree with you, but I would need you to like break down these little barriers I have in my mind in order to get me on that side.
But didn't I make two very good arguments for both healthcare and education?
Not in my mind, no.
Why?
That's why I'm asking you to like.
Why is the private system better? Let me flip it on you. Why is the private system better?
But like I said, I'm not trying to argue the private system's better. What I'm saying is I need motivation to want to uproot the status quo.
Have you seen what it cost to go to college in the 1970s?
There's a lot of things I haven't seen. Okay, so college is fucking retarded. Like it's absolutely, it's almost completely lost its value in America. You probably don't even, you have no idea who I am right now, but we actually went to college together.
We did.
We did.
Interesting.
I lived in Rhodes with you.
Whoa, that college.
Yeah.
Like in 2002?
Freshman year, buddy.
That's insane.
into distressed communities.
Yeah. So, how much do you think we got out of that experience at that school? Do you think we got our money's worth out of that?
You're talking about Western Kentucky University, correct?
Indeed.
Okay, so I was only there a semester. I didn't really get anything out of it, and that was completely my fault. I went back to college and got 2 degrees several years later at East Tennessee State University, and I got a hell of a lot out of that experience. And my situation in life has changed drastically because of college. So,
okay, so would you be comfortable with?
And it was way more expensive compared, because it was about 10 years later that I went back to college. So it far more expensive, and it was still a good investment.
It's only going up. So when I think about my college experience, I think about that semester that we went to school together, and I think about the semester after that and the semester after that, and I think to myself, with the mentality I had, they should not have let me into school. I was there because I could be. I was there because the system was set up such that they would loan me money to go just fucking be there.
Absolutely, well, that's the private system again.
Anything.
And I will also agree that I don't think you are ready for school. As I said, I got so much more out of it going at 28 than I did when I was 18. I was at the front of the class with my coffee. I was very engaged. Oh my God, was I ever engaged with the professors? I got so much out of college. You're not ready for it when you're 18.
Yeah.
Well, most people aren't ready for it. Some people.
I agree with you. I think most people aren't. But I think that in the last few years, it does seem as if the system has been dumbed down to an extent where a lot more of the people they let in because fuck it are actually able to get degrees now.
I mean, I don't think education should be closed off to people. Are you trying to say that because more people can get education,
I don't think it should be closed off. I just think it should be harder.
Really? Why?
I think it should be harder to get into school. I think they should have higher standards.
No. It should be open to everybody.
Like, isn't it weird that like people who are getting like trade certificates are making more money than people with degrees on average?
Well, no. Why? I don't
like. Nobody wants to be a plumber, therefore the value of plumbing is like skyrocketed.
Well, I understand. Which is
the
awesome
for
scarcity. Yes.
Yeah. I think we have too many thinkers and not enough doers. I guess.
I don't think we got enough thinkers, man. And we don't incentivize thinkers, man. Like, everybody wants to talk shit about the arts and stuff, but like, who the fuck entertains you? And like, I don't think we have enough thinkers. I think, especially here, because like I'm in Alabama, I'm in Huntsville. Like, there's a very large emphasis on STEM. And I took some classes at the University of Alabama, and it was all STEM. And it was like a little broom closet I was in over here in the literature department.
Well, think about I think the problem with art, I shouldn't even say the problem with art, but just like in modern times with technology, with the dissemination of information, entertainment scales exponentially with broadband and with the ubiquity of smartphones and things like this. Like, we don't need like entertainers in every town on call 24/7, doing live shows.
Dude, like, what do we need? What does society need? That's a weird fucking way to put anything. It's letting people do whatever the fuck they feel fulfilled doing.
Yeah, I don't want to compel anyone to do anything.
Absolutely.
Like literally nothing, except for, I guess, like, I like the idea of negative rights. I like the idea of telling people, here's some things you're not allowed to do. But other than that, like, fuck, have fun, buddy. Like, you do your thing. But I
believe
think
me, I'm there with you.
But I think the problem that, I shouldn't say the problem, that's not fair. I think that like the conception that a lot of people have is that they think it's their freedom and it's their right to do whatever they want. And if they don't want to do anything, then the government should like take care of them. And the problem I have with that is that if you're paying taxes for like giving your money to other people who are like actively attempting to not do things, then like that actually is compelling me to do something that I don't want to do. And I think that is taking my freedom away. I'm not one of those taxationist theft people. I think like the far end of libertarianism is like, I think that's even dumber than communism. I think I'm not even going to get into that.
So if I was to tell you that chances are that you've taken more from the federal government than you've paid in, would you believe me?
Oh, I definitely have, and the average person does.
Yeah. That's what I was getting at.
Right, but
so you're one of the takers.
What I'm saying is, absolutely.
Well, wouldn't you say that the government's kind of been unfair? Wouldn't you say that you should have had college paid for you, like your parents, your grandparents?
No, I paid for my own school.
Must be nice, man. I didn't have that kind of money.
Well, I didn't either. They garnished my wages when I started working to get my money.
Yeah, dude. Why should you have had to go through that? Because here's the thing: is man, your parents, grandparents, they had that available to them. The people like in the '60s and '70s, they had college for the price of like a goddamn McChicken sandwich. And then what they did was they privatized all that shit, repackaged it, and sold it back to us at an inflated cost in order to finance their affluence. And they've done that with every different sector of life. They got the baby boomer generation, the white middle class people. They had everything handed to them. Free education, high paying jobs, and then they shut it off for us so that they could keep making money.
I guess I just don't measure my circumstances against like this ideal. Like I don't have an ideal. I don't look at something.
You participate in the society though, man, and like there's forces, right? So all politics are is different coalitions lobbying for things from the government, and you and I are part of a coalition of workers.
I find it gross, man. I find lobbying gross. I find.
Well, I'm not saying lobbying is in the connotation of like Washington lobbyists with money and everything. It's just lobbying in the colloquial term that we're coalitions lobbying for power within the government, and we're workers lobbying to exercise our power. And right now, we're very outmatched.
I mean, look, I'm not against social systems. Like generally speaking, I'm not against the notion that some people do need to be taken care of. Some people are incapable of taking care of themselves, and I think absolutely we should be taking care of them. And I'm happy for my taxes to go to taking care of people who are incapable of taking care of themselves. Like I think that's beautiful. I think that's something that any society that doesn't do that should, it's one of those things you look in the mirror and think, what's the point?
Let's flip it the other way. You're familiar with libertarian ideology, right? Are you familiar with the concept of initial just acquisition?
Yes.
Okay, so is there anything that's in this country that you can point to and point back to an initial just acquisition of it?
Well, I guess it really depends on your definition of what is and isn't just. Like, I mean, we could say that like the notion of manifest destiny would
well, that's totally not just
overstep the bound.
Yeah, you're with me on that.
Like that's obvious.
Yeah. This is kind of what I'm getting at.
But then again, I also don't have any inkling. I don't feel like we should be giving land back. Like what they just did in Oklahoma, like gave me a nosebleed.
Why? I'm not that up on it, but like,
for one, if it just happened like a few months or a few years ago, and we're giving it back to the people we stole it from, I'd be like, yeah, dude, what the fuck? Why do
you not understand why all this strife is going on in this country right now? Is because we've never reckoned with our past and been honest with people.
Well, I don't think it's.
I'm assuming you're white, man, right? You're a white guy.
Mostly, yeah.
Mostly, but like, so you're kind of benefiting from that system that's in place, right?
Well, I think okay. let me say that this isn't. I don't view this as whites versus Indians. I look at this as white people back then versus Indian people back then. We're not the same people. Okay?
I'm viewing it as there was an injustice, and it needs to be rectified. Because generational. Have you ever heard the song? It's the Jay-Z song. What's it? Shit. I forget the name of the song. It's got the video. The Story of OJ. That's it. Have you ever heard that song?
No, I don't think I have.
Okay, well, it talks about the importance of generational wealth, and that's incredibly important, because please understand that, like, my great grandfather was given land when other people were in bondage, and that has a profound impact on our stations in life now, especially when you add in even after the slaves were freed. And, like, you've got Black Wall Street popping up in Tulsa, and you've got a bustling community that was ran by black people in Wilmington that fucking white people just burnt the fuck down. Like,
so yeah, I don't disagree that those
injustices have been going on until fucking they're still going on today.
I don't disagree with the fact that, I mean, I don't think anybody could argue that Black Wall Street was what happened there was just. I don't think anybody thinks that. I mean, just history is just a whole series of these injustices.
All right, man, I gotta go appear on another show here in a little bit, so I gotta let you go. But I really hope you call back in. I appreciate you calling in, man.
Good talking to you, buddy.
It was a pleasure. Have a great night. All right. So, as I said, I'm heading over to my good friends at Echoplex Media. Please join us over there. Search for them on Twitch. I have shared out the link on Facebook. They are doing live RNC wrap-up coverage, and I will be joining them now. So, if you're not going with me, which you should, go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm Justin Freakin. We'll see you tomorrow night with our continued coverage.